Hey guys, I'm back. I'm Samantha and I'm a therapist and I'm creating a video every day for a year. This is video 304. Thanks so much for being here. And I wanted to share a little tip about how to manifest using the power of sustained thought for 68 seconds. And I know Abraham Hicks has talked about the 68-second rule for decades. So I found this in my notes and I'm just going to kind of read through it a little bit. We want to focus our thoughts for 17 seconds. So like a sustained thought, which means uninterrupted. So now I did hear them say that quote time, has sped up. So we actually only need a 16-second thought. Comment down below if you've heard this. I don't know when I heard this, but it was definitely years ago that I heard that it's 16 seconds instead of 17 seconds. But I'm going to stick with the 17-second rule and on up to 68 seconds. So holding a thought creates momentum. And also more thoughts like it, of course. We know that the law of attraction, you're going to attract one thought that's, like attracts like. So one thought is going to attract another thought like it. And then those sustained thoughts become a mental state. So we've got to be careful, careful about what we're thinking about on a regular basis, because that can create a mental state, of course. So you can talk yourself into or think yourself into anxiety and into anger and kind of train yourself to feel anxious or angry or resentful all the time. So I'll get into that a little bit later. But okay, so here's a little practice that we can do. And you can try it right now if you want to. Or you can try it later, either way. So you focus on one single desired outcome and without your mind wandering to doubts, distractions, or opposing thoughts. Now that's where that work comes in. No doubts, distractions, or opposing thoughts. Just what desired outcome do you want? How would you feel if you had it? So it says most people break focus within 5 to 7 seconds. So I want you guys to practice this because I've, of course, practiced this, and it is dang hard to hold on to that thought for 17 seconds, let alone 68 seconds. But we can do it. It just takes practice, right? We got to practice it. And so, and I call this kind of like practicing your power. We look at it like that, like you're practicing sustaining your thoughts so much that you start to actually feel powerful, like you have control over your life, which you do. And so you want to focus without the mind wandering as much as possible to those doubts, distractions, or opposing thoughts. This is why manifestation feels impossible. You're never generating enough momentum. So keep that in mind. We've got to generate momentum with pure, clean, undistracted thought. This is a practice. Especially for those of us who say we're ADHD or ADD or we have anxiety, all these things. Meditation never works for me. You just got to practice it with intention. And eventually those thoughts will calm. They will start to dissipate, but it needs to be practiced. Again, take the whole year and practice this little exercise if you want to. Just give yourself grace and time to even, try it. So we're never generating enough momentum. So the goal is to generate momentum. Pure focus means no contradicting thoughts. So think of it that way. We're having pure thoughts with no self-doubt. No but how or but when or but what if. Just the pure feeling of having it or being it. Okay? And the moment doubt enters, you've broken the chain. You have to start the 17-second count over. So keep that in mind, that just start it over. That's why Dr. Joe Dispenza was able to meditate for 6 weeks and heal his spinal cord injury that he had. Because he created a blueprint in the quantum field. There's a whole other video. Created a blueprint in his mind of his healed spine, the outcome. Put that energy in the field. The field projected it out onto matter, his spine, and healed. And he did this with 6 weeks of sustained thought. It took him 6 weeks because it was hard to have sustained thought. So every time his mind would wander, he'd bring it back. And he made a deal with himself. He said to do that. Every time my mind wanders off, I'm going to bring it back. Train it like a dog. So keep that in mind too. Yeah, and this is why meditation matters. It trains sustained focus. So you say, I'm going to train myself to have sustained focus. That's your intention. And the 17-second intervals work because thoughts are energy. When you focus, you're gathering energy around that specific frequency. After 17 seconds, I just lost my place. Oh, geez Louise. Sorry, guys. After 17 seconds, the energy reaches critical mass and begins attracting similar frequencies. This is the law of attraction in action. Scattered focus generates scattered results. That's why we have scattered results. You might have some good results, but then you have some others that don't feel so good. So keep that in mind. If your thoughts are scattered, you will have scattered results. If you have pure, clean thoughts, you're going to have pure, clean results. So it says, practice this, set a timer for 68 seconds, close your eyes, visualize having it fully with full sensory detail, and having it fully means whatever it is that you desire, having it fully with full sensory detail and positive emotion. And the instant a contradicting thought appears, open your eyes and start over. Keep that in mind. Keep attempting until you can maintain 68 seconds of unbroken positive focus. Most people will fail this exercise dozens of times before succeeding once, so keep that in mind too. You don't have to fail dozens of times, but it can happen because we're not used to thinking one thought at a time like that. So just keep that in mind. It's okay if you do that. Just bring yourself back to the present moment and try again. And so it's not that you're failing, it's a measurement that you're discovering how weak your manifestation muscle is, and every attempt strengthens it. The goal is to make 68 seconds and maintain 68 seconds of pure focus and where it feels effortless. That's the goal. That's when you're a deliberate creator instead of a default one. You're manifesting slowly because you can't hold focus long enough to generate momentum. Once you master 68 seconds of pure, unbroken focus, your manifestations accelerate dramatically. Isn't that so cool? That's so basic. But it really got me thinking when I found this note tonight, because I was looking through like, what do I want to talk about tonight? I was going to bring up that book I was talking about last night. I'll go into that another time. But this popped up and I was like, ooh, I like this one. So we're going to talk about this one. So this is just a quick practice you can do. Maybe take, 10 minutes a day, 15 minutes a day, ideally. And just like start to decide that, okay, I'm going to sit down and practice and create some momentum on purpose. So think about like you're gathering your energy and you're plugging yourself into a wall and you're charging. So you're going to charge your energy up to create this momentum with just your mind. And just visualize like your energy flowing towards your desire. That's another thing you could do is like picture whatever it is that you're desiring, like Neville says, your end scene that you're wanting, and picture your energy literally flowing towards that. That could be a practice too. And I've noticed the more that I really feel it, the time goes by so fast. I don't get distracted. The how and the why and the when and all this, all the past doesn't come in. I just think about this scene, and I promise you, it's crazy how these things work when you do it on purpose. I remember I did this, I think it was last summer, and I did this for like 3 days in a row, about 10 minutes, and I would visualize this scene. And it was so fun to visualize it. It was so kind of outlandish. But pieces of that came true about a day and a half later. Like pieces showed up that should never have shown up. It was so weird. And it was so cool, but I didn't do it long enough to actually see if the end, outcome would happen. So I think it's worth a shot to work on every single day for at least 10 minutes. That's what I suggest for you. And you want to bring your mind back. Like it said, open your eyes. If you have a contradicting thought or a distracted thought, just open your eyes and then go right back into it. And that's what Joe Dispenza did, and he healed his spinal cord injury. So I've always thought, I read his story and everything. He got hit by I think it was an SUV. He was running, I think, a marathon at the time. And he got hit by some SUV, and they told him he wouldn't walk again. And so he instructed the field, the quantum field that is around us, how to fix his spinal cord injury. He was a chiropractor, and so he knew what the spinal cord looked like. So he instructed that energy. He just created this blueprint in his mind, and the field took it, grabbed it, and projected it onto his body. So we can instruct the field what to project out onto, into our lives. The holographic simulation that we're living in, apparently. So think of it that way. Have fun with this stuff. I love talking about this stuff, and I love practicing it because it makes me feel so much more powerful than surrendering to health issues or surrendering to, well, this doctor said this or this person said this, and that's the only way. No, I never take anything anyone says as final, ever. And I do that because I challenge myself. I'm like, no, let's grow. Let's grow our focus here. My goal is to get my focus so just on point this year that I create things I couldn't even imagine. And that's what we want to do is you imagine an end scene just to create a feeling inside of you, just a mental state, because you want to practice that state, because you're practicing a state all day long anyway. That might not be helpful for you. It might be hurting you, actually. So you might as well do a deliberate, intentional state that you're going to generate from inside yourself. And watch what happens when you practice this on a daily basis. It just changes everything. It's just amazing how it works. And you only need your mind. So I said, I want to challenge myself to see, because like the brain can only imagine so much. There's a ceiling to it. But the higher mind can take over and give you something that you could never imagine. You could have never imagined it to work out so perfectly or beautifully or whatever is going to happen. So you create the visualization only to catch that feeling of what it feels like to have that or to be that. And then the other practice, of course, that we always talk about is decide who you want to be and act like you're that person. Act like you're going to try to win an Oscar for your performance of acting like this person. And this person is you, just a different version of you. And you get to decide what version that is. And so you just practice it so much. Your thoughts, like what would this person, this new you think? How would they behave? What would they stop doing and start doing? That's another question to ask yourself. And then just a little side note about if you have health issues, Bashar always says, what am I learning because I have this health issue that I wouldn't have learned otherwise had I not had this health issue? And when I just believe, of course, that any disease that we have is obviously we're feeling dis-ease in the mind, and it will show up as dis-ease in the body. Disease, I can't say the words right tonight. Dis-ease of the mind causes disease of the body, and disease can't survive in a healthy body. It just can't. But it's going to show up to show you something. So always question, what is it that I must be needing to learn that I wouldn't have learned had I not had this? And I think sometimes it forces us to be more of ourselves because we're not being our true self, whatever that is for each one of us. There might be something you're waiting to do that you're not doing. Maybe you're totally stressing out about something. Maybe you're holding in anger and resentment and it's turning into disease in the body. So just really check your thoughts. I've had a lot of people tell me that they are not angry or resentful. And then the next sentence they'll say, God, that guy really, I can't believe he did this. I don't know why he's doing this. I believe this about him and this about him. And that is holding on to that anger and resentment. Sometimes it's very subtle. So we've got to check what we're thinking about. So get to know yourself, and just study yourself. Decide that you're going to do this for the next year or however long you want to do it. Don't give yourself a time frame necessarily. Just say, I'm going to learn this when I learn it. And it could be quick or it could take a little while, depending on my focus, how I train my focus, and where my energy is going to flow, where I'm going to tell it to flow. Imagine your energy being like a color or something, and you see this color like smoke almost going towards this thing that you're wanting. And see what that does for you too. It feels so good when you just sit there. I used to do this last year I think like right after lunch. I would just kind of sit and the sun would be hitting me through the window and I would just be like taking in the warmth of the sun and just like imagining this scene. And I'm telling you, it was so weird what happened the next couple days. So just do it for fun. Do it for like the weirdness that could occur. And then you'll be like, oh my God, I'm powerful. Maybe you'll finally believe you're powerful. That's what we want. On this channel, I'm teaching you how to get back to your power. That's all I want for you, is to know that you're powerful and you can have anything you want, because you can. You just have to believe it. And it takes a little bit to believe it because we've been so disempowered over our lives, but we don't have to stay there. We can choose. You do have a choice. So practice, and I'll be here with you, of course, throughout your journey. And thank you for being here with me, as always. And please share this message with anybody who might want to hear it or would benefit from the information I just shared. And please remember to love yourself. You are so loved. Pass it on to anybody who might need to hear it. And remember to appreciate yourself, because what you appreciate appreciates. And I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.